Welcome back, everybody. Here we are today with Ren, the Money Game, Part 3. Let's check it out. That's a classical piece I recognise. This piece was used in Crossroads. Has anyone seen that movie? Not the Britney Spears one. The one with Ralph Macchio, Karate Kid, where he tracks down Willie Brown looking for a lost Robert Johnson song, and then, spoiler alert, he has a guitar off with the devil or someone who's filling in for the devil. I think Steve Vai played the parts on it. But he plays this bit on the guitar, man. It's a cool film. Check it out if you haven't seen it. That's an interesting way to start, isn't it? I wasn't expecting that. Is it Mozart, is it maybe, or something? Cool how the camera's following him up and down there. That's wicked. And this is, I guess, is Ren, isn't it? Ren's playing this with the red tie. Oh, what a shot, man! Wow. Ooh, that's disconcerting. Cool. Production value's definitely stepped up a level, hasn't it? I love how you can just about see him through the bag. Where is this, inside an old shipping container or something, or what's... Oh, you're in. Interesting mic placement as well on the lapel. That's cool.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. 1 year old and his first words were mine, gimme. 2 years old he was walking, 3 years old walking quickly. 4 years old he was running round the pavements of his city. 5 years old and his daddy told him, listen here son, you gotta learn to be a man. A man, he works for what he wants. 6 years old and he's reading, writing, top of the bunch. And when he's 7, his progression made him student number 1. 8 years old and he's praised for unusual grades. 9, his parents paid for private school to nurture the flame. 10, 11, 12, 13, he ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means to all ends. 14, solving complex mathematical equations. At 15, IQ 150.
Alright, let's stop it there. This is, yeah, definitely a step up in production, isn't it, man? I wonder what the budget was for this. This has taken some planning, hasn't it, man? But it's really, really cool. It's interesting. This is more specific, I suppose, isn't it? Whereas the other Money Games were more... I guess more of a broad stroke about I guess, about capitalism, about money and stuff. And as I said before, it's tough, isn't it, man? Because, you know, that compassionate side of you wants to, yeah, you want to believe it's all a game, you know, and it's rigged and it's corrupt and all that stuff, all that kind of stuff. But I guess the older I get anyway, and the more I read and learn and stuff, or try to, is that of course it's corrupt because things have to be ordered, don't they, in hierarchies. And the reason they have to be like that, I suppose, is because you have to be judgmental, I suppose, to move through life, you know, like whether it's, you know, deciding even what food you eat or whatever, you know, you're judging against the other food. So hierarchies, I guess, are inevitable, and I suppose at some point there must be a tip, you know, and the hierarchies are going to tip towards corruption. What do you reckon? Anyway, this is cool because this is just zooming in, isn't it? You know, from the sort of the macro of the story now into the micro of the story. And I'm going to start it all again, man, because I want to take as much of this in as possible. It's a beautiful piece as well, isn't it, this one? This camera move, man, it gives you that feeling in your stomach, doesn't it, when you go over a bridge or something, you know, like one of those little humpback ones. It's a groovy piece of piano there as well. It's more ominous now, isn't it? The feeling's good. That's a beautiful little progression there. Who was that? Was that Remain again or something? Who was under that other hood? It's looking sharp. And it's cool, isn't it? You know, the if done right, just some ooze, you know, and a melody, the feelings they can evoke. You know, it's an instrument, isn't it? The voice, you know, it's perhaps the original instrument. Oh, I love it. It's cool.
Tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. 1 year old and his first words were mine, mine, gimme. 2 years old he was walking, 3 years old walking quickly. 4 years old he was running round the pavements of his city. 5 years old and his daddy told him, listen here son, you gotta learn to be a man he works for what he wants. 6 years old and he's reading, writing, top of the bunch. And when he said,
you have, you know, this, it's, I suppose, that message in itself, you know, you've got to be a man, you've got to work for what you want. It's not a bad message, is it, you know, because the world is a tough, dangerous place, you know. and no one's coming to save you. However, in this instance, it's perhaps not even the way in which it's delivered. I think it's probably the lack of other things, you know, which is a good lesson for life, isn't it? That balance is important, and plasticity, being plastic, you know, being malleable, I guess. I watched a video a couple of days ago by, you know, the Bioneer. This is like a fitness guy channel, but he was talking about constantly learning new things, you know, and that's it, as you get older, it's a way to keep your brain plastic, you know, and it's easier to learn new things. You might not be any good at most of them, but just keep trying to learn new things, you know. Novel stuff is extremely beneficial to our health and our soul and everything, I suppose. Yeah, but it's an important message that, you know, you've got to be a man or a woman or whatever, you know, but you've got to go after what you want, but you've got to temper that with compassion and love, of course. But I'm digressing a lot. Let's see what the rest of the story is.
1 year old and his first words were mine, gimme. 2 years old he was walking, 3 years old walking quickly. 4 years old he was running round the pavements of his city. 5 years old and his daddy told him, listen here son, you gotta learn to be a man. A man, he works for what he wants. 6 years old and he's reading, writing, top of the bunch. And when he's 7, his progression made him student number 1. 8 years old and he's praised for unusual grades. 9, his parents paid for private school to nurture the flame.
I like how he's doing this just year by year. And it's the age of 7 is meant to be important, isn't it? Some Greek or Roman forever ago said something along the lines of, you know, show me the boy of 7 and I'll show you the man. And certainly looking back on my own life, I guess, you know, when I was 7, I was in there, you know, done, and observing some friends' kids and stuff at the same, you know, like probably even younger than that, maybe even like 3 or perhaps even younger, you know, they're in there from the beginning, and aren't they, you know, and it's I guess I'll be getting into the nature versus nurture argument now, and I'm not really sure. I guess it's a mix of both, isn't it? This is really, really cool, man. This is a great production, isn't it?
He's reading, writing, top of the bunch. And when he's 7, his progression made him student number 1. 8 years old and he's praised for unusual grades. 9, his parents paid for private school to nurture the flame. 10, 11, 12, 13, he ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means to all ends. 14, solving complex mathematical equations. At 15, IQ 150, still elevating. 16, he develops complex software code that detects weak.
That's a cool bit, isn't it, with the Rubik's Cube, man? Has anybody ever had a go at them? Some people are awesome at them, aren't they? I never... Did Ren solve it there, or is that a bit too
14, solving complex mathematical equations. At 15, IQ 150, still elevating. 16, he develops complex software code that detects weaknesses in cybersecurity protocols. 17, and he sells his vision, keeping the share. Not yet an adult, but he's practically a millionaire. 18, and his daddy tells him, now you're a man. This world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can.
That's the pirate mentality, isn't it, I suppose? You know, take what you can, give nothing back. Which I'm just, you know, I don't know if that is actually the pirate mentality. I'm taking it from Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, Jack Sparrow. But I suppose as well, like the danger, it's been having that much money at that younger age, I suppose. That's a danger as well, isn't it? I often think that, well, I don't know how often, but I have thought about it that if for example, I had been in a hugely successful band in my late teens, early 20s, you know, where would I be now, you know? And I'm not sure it would have ended too well. Ricky Gervais talks about it quite a lot, you know, that because he was 40, I think, when he had any kind of success, and he's like, he's done then, you know, he's done as a person. Of course, I guess you're still going to grow and learn and stuff, but perhaps it's less. Perhaps you're less likely to be corrupted, but perhaps it depends on the person as well. Yeah, I don't know. This is I really like this, that it's The Money Game Part 3, but it's different, isn't it, to the first two? Like, not just visually, but musically and the way he's using storytelling.
Unusual grades 9. His parents paid for private school to nurture the flame. 10, 11, 12, 13. He ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means to all ends. 14, solving complex mathematical equations. At 15, IQ 150, still elevating. 16, he develops complex software code that detects weaknesses in cybersecurity protocols. 17, and he sells his vision, keeping the share. Not yet an adult, but he's practically a millionaire. 18, and his daddy tells him, now you're a man. This world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can.
And I suppose that even if you become successful later in life, you know, whether it's fame, fortune, success, however you measure it, I suppose it's a tightrope, isn't it? You know, and it's going to depend on your habits and your personality. Because I would hope that I would be able to keep my feet on the ground, and I guess keep my principles and things, and the things I believe in at a core level. But what do they say? Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's a big responsibility, I suppose, isn't it? To have just obscene amounts of money. Yeah, this is making me think about a lot of stuff. This is. Anyway, let's play on.
19, he turns a profit, stocks and shares, invest in product. 20, double down deposits. 21, his income rockets. 22, he learns the truth is just an obstacle to wealth. If you manipulate the data, then the lie will sell itself. 23, a life of luxury, crystal and cocaine. 24, he makes the Forbes list, they're applauding his name. 25.
I read that's a great change on the piano there, isn't it, man? The way it changes the feel and stuff. But I recognise that melody. Is that borrowed from somewhere? Does anybody know? That dum bum bum bum. But it's wow, what a beautiful, beautiful change that is.
And his daddy tells him, now you're a man. This world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can. 19, he turns a profit, stocks and shares, invest in product. 20, double down deposits. 21, his income rockets. 22, he learns the truth is just an obstacle to wealth. If you manipulate the data, then the lie will sell itself. 23, a life of luxury, crystal and cocaine. 24, he makes the Forbes list, they're applauding his name. 25, and his daddy tells him, listen here, son, while you're sitting in that palace, that don't mean that you won. 26, a business shift, he switches business to arms. He's 27, dealing.
So is this so all of this, I suppose, is Jimmy just trying to get his dad's love, isn't it? You know, his dad's approval, and his dad's never happy, and he's never ever gonna be. Oh, really, really cool, man. This is a good story, man.
Before he makes the Forbes list, they're applauding his name. 25, and his daddy tells him, listen here, son, while you're sitting in that palace, that don't mean that you won. 26, a business shift, he switches business to arms. He's 27, dealing nuclear and shells in Iran. 28, inside the Senate, money bought him a seat. He's 29, a role of counsel in the president's suite. Now he's 30, his daddy says,
That reminds me of do you know The Godfather, part 1, I believe it is, isn't it? When Michael Al Pacino comes back and he meets Diane Keaton's character, and she mentions about him getting into the family business, which he was never supposed to do, and she says, I think she calls him naive, and then she says, senators and policy. Al Pacino's character says that my father, as in, you know, the Don, Marlon Brando, Vito Corleone, is no different from any powerful man, from politicians and senators. And she calls him naive and says senators and politicians don't have people killed. And he says, who's being naive now? This is really, really cool, man. Yeah, that shot when he walked under that's really, really cool. Just let me look at that again. Just the way he walked.
That don't mean that you won. 26 a business shift, he switches business to arms. He's 27 dealing nuclear and shells in Iran. 28 inside the Senate, money bought him a seat. He's 29, a role of counsel in the president's suite. Now he's 30, his daddy says you're losing the race. You're just a servant to the king, not even in second place. 31, a big maneuver for his daddy's approval. Moving imports over borders from the exports out of Cuba.
It's a timeless story, though, isn't it? You know, that, like I said, he's not the king, but he's close, you know. So this feels like a timeless story. And this, I mean, the details are for now. But I guess that's kind of what Game of Thrones is about, isn't it? You know, and that's why it's called Game of Thrones, you know. It was a power game. But now it's more money orientated, I suppose. Interesting.
32 moving grams, growing kilos to tons. He's 33 filling warehouses with powder and guns. 34 turf war with nobody to stop it. Blind eye from the popo inside of his pocket. 35, he gets a call. I'm sorry, son, but it's your father. Had a heart attack, I'm sorry, he's gone. 36, getting pissed off, abusing his product. 37, eyes glazed, disposition demonic. 38, with a prostitute, a moment of passion.
Disposition demonic, it's only 2 words, isn't it? But that's great.
Sorry, he's gone. 36, getting pissed off, abusing his product. 37, eyes glazed.
That's cool. When did he loosen his tie, man? I've missed that because he's undone a button or a tie at some point. Yeah, where did he do that? I've missed it. All of the shots in this are great, and you know how they're hiding the other things and then bringing them into view with the. I mean, I'm assuming this is all one take unless there's an invisible cut. Perhaps on one of those bends, but I wouldn't have thought so. But how's he doing this with the spins and the cameras and stuff? That's next level stuff, isn't it? You know, if it's all handheld.
Moving grams, growing kilos to tons. He's 33, filling warehouses with powder and guns. 34, turf war with nobody to stop it. Blind eye from the popo inside of his pocket. 35, he gets the call. I'm sorry, son, but it's your father. Had a heart attack, I'm sorry, he's gone. 36, getting pissed off, abusing his product. 37, eyes glazed, disposition demonic. 38, with a prostitute, a moment of passion. Heating up a silver spoon and then chasing the dragon. 39, getting reckless and hungry for power. Daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour. Makes a move against the cartel, but the strategy's flawed. They were
that reminds me of Inception, isn't it? That's like the part of the plot of Inception, isn't it? Is that Cillian Murphy's character? It's I think he might have had a similar relationship with his father, and I believe his father died, did he? But then they get him in. It's about the things his father said, isn't it? And that's why they go into the dream to try and plant something to make it appear that it's something that his father has told him, and that sort of. I don't remember the film too well, but it's something like that, isn't it? I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that movie. But there's so much to unpack in this video, man. It's really, really cool.
eating up a silver spoon and then chasing the dragon. 39, getting reckless and hungry for power. Daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour. Makes a move against the cartel, but the strategy's flawed. They retaliate and leave him in a hospital ward. A bullet buried in his vertebra and one in his leg. The doctor sighs and says, I don't think you'll be walking again. Fuck.
So there could have been an invisible cut there. There must have been, yeah, right. Cool. Nice place to put it then.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. He was 40 and he cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. 41 he wasn't walking, 42 not walking quickly, 43 never running round the pavements of his city, 44 inside a palace with a mountain of gold. But those riches turn to rubble when perspective evolves. Weighing heavy on his conscience is the value of gold. Lamborghini for a life, trading money for souls. Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie.
So that's just awesome, isn't it, man? Awesome. I mean, I wasn't even taking in a lot of the words there, but the way the quartet, is it, I suppose, 4 of them, the way that, I love the way he counted in as well, you know, so they can see it's all, this is just all really, really cool. And also, I would suspect as well, I'm going to digress a little bit here, and I'm not sure how related it is, but it's something I'm thinking about. Because there's a trope, isn't there, I suppose, of villains, or, you know, what would they be called? Arch villains, or the... You know, they're often in wheelchairs, you know, or have some form of disability. And in Doctor Who recently, they've sort of retconned Davros to make it that he's not in a wheelchair. Although I've watched some things about that, and I'm not sure, you know, as to not make, you know, disabled people feel, I don't know what it would be, offended, belittled, or some, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why, but sometimes I think it. Is that going too far, you know, because I think in that particular instance, maybe I think Davros's disability was integral to like his origin myth. So perhaps, like for now, so Jimmy, he's become disabled, and is that just going to make him like more angry and more bitter and more twisted towards the world? But then you have the opposite, don't you? You have Professor X out of X-Men, who is I guess what would the word be, virtuous and good. So yeah, so that's probably how you should combat it, isn't it? Is having more good guys with disabilities. Yeah, anyway, it's great to hear some. This is just another level, isn't it, you know? Will there be a Money Game 4? There's usually trilogies, isn't there, with things, but I would like to see part 4.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. He was 40 and he cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. 41 he wasn't walking, 42 not walking quickly, 43, never running round the pavements of his city. 44, inside a palace with a mountain of gold. But those riches turn to rubble when perspective evolves. Weighing heavy on his conscience is the value of gold. Lamborghini for a life, trading money for souls. Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. And his example is exaggerated versions of me. And it's a version of him, and it's a version of she, and it's a version of you. There's no escaping the blame. The way we live is parasitic.
Yeah, I think that's the only way you can. It's that the walrus thing, isn't it? Which is that Edgar Allan Poe, the reference? You know, I am he, as you are me, as you are we, and we are all together. Is that participating, I suppose, in just like always tell the truth, you know, or at least don't lie. That Jordan Peterson line, that it's I feel, and I haven't always, I guess, felt this way, but I feel that the only way you can affect anything really is by working on yourself and putting that energy out into the world. You know, just being better than you was yesterday, and it's going to be, you know, it's not a straight up, is it? You know, but I think that's. Yeah, on the whole, man, I think that's the best thing you can do, is to fight the system or fight injustice or corruption, is just by making yourself better every day, or in every way you can. And then by osmosis, I would think, or I would hope, perhaps that's going to make, you know, the people around you better in micro ways. But like my nan used to say, you know, you look after the pennies, the pounds will look after themselves. I don't mean, you know, literally. I think you know what I mean. This is top class storytelling though, man. I'm really enjoying it, and to see the evolution in everything that they're doing, you know, visually, and everything Ren's doing with storytelling wise, you know. And as a lot of you know, I wasn't that taken with the Jenny and Screech trilogy, although Violet's Tale, I think was really good, you know, to be honest. Since I've watched it back again, Violet's Tale, it's and I know that was done later. I just felt the storytelling was lacking for, you know, and because I'm into stories, you know, so was it lacking? Is that unfair to say? Maybe it is, because, you know, we're all on a journey and a progress, you know, and you don't just come out the gate being brilliant, do you? You know, it takes, I guess you need an embryo to sort of nurture and grow, but it takes work. It takes work. And it doesn't matter how talented you are, if you don't put the work in, it's game over, man. No chance. But this is brilliant.
For a life, trading money for souls. Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. And his example is exaggerated versions of me. And it's a version of him, and it's a version of she, and it's a version of you. There's no escaping the blame. The way we live is parasitic. Fuck the money and fame. Call the music. This isn't entertainment. This is real life. The way we live is lunacy, community, it declines. Hyperpolarized, always fighting, then we divide. Truth is less important than the money that we designed. Money's an invention. Politics from our invention. They all come from people's ideas. Did I mention? Border's an invention. Law and order fuel the tension. It leads to people killing each other. My solution?
yeah, this is like in part 2.
Everything is subject to change. We could build utopias if individuals were taught to use their brains. But if we teach kids in schools to always be sheep and put themselves before the herd if there's more money for me.
Yeah, it's true. It's a problem with the school system, certainly in the West, I think, that we're not taught how to think, we're not taught critical thinking, we're taught what to think, rote learning, isn't it? And on the large part, not taught anything useful. Not even taught, I wasn't taught at school anyway, like how to do your taxes, how to start a business, any of that kind of stuff, really. Not taught about life, There was a bit I wanted to say something on just before this. Let me go back and see if I can remind myself of it.
We live as lunacy, community declines. Hyperpolarized, always fighting, then we divide. Truth is less important than the money that we designed. Money's an invention. Politics from our invention. They all come from people's ideas. Did I mention? Border's an invention. Law and order fuel the tension. At least
So all of these things he's mentioning here, what is he trying to say with this bit, do you think? Or what's his opinions on it? Because, I think I see what he's getting at. But, well, first of all, truth, I suppose, is subjective, isn't it? And it malleable, and is the truth subjective? I don't know. Are there absolute truths? Because what's true for one person might not be true for another. I'm not too sure. But these things, money, borders, it's like in Imagine, isn't it? Imagine there's no countries, imagine no religion, all that sort of stuff. And I guess, and the idea would that be utopia? But I'm undecided. I don't know. These things, to some degree, must be necessary, because it's not a perfect system, of course, and it is corrupt. But there needs to be a better alternative, I suppose, because, it would be great, wouldn't it? I guess that, like in Star Trek, I guess, that kind of utopia, but it's complex, isn't it, man? I think the best thing to do is try and work on building the new rather than fighting the old. But anyway,
people killing each other? My solution?
Yeah, so his solution, okay, I'm going to listen. Oh, he's good. Oh, of course, he starts talking about his solution. I paused it prematurely, didn't I? And then I've already spoke about, teaching kids how to think and not what to think.
Everything is subject to change. We could build utopias if individuals were taught to use their brains. But if we teach kids in schools to always be sheep and put themselves before the herd if there's more money for me.
Yeah, I don't know if... putting yourself before the herd... But I guess extremes are probably not great, are they? But are they? I don't know. It's so complex, isn't it? Because to be selfless and to always put everybody else first, that's not a healthy way to live, is it? because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Then there's no future I see where the humans survive. We're parasites inside a petri dish with cannibal minds. Mold will grow upon the surface and consumes till it dies. And our fate could be the same without this story to the wise.
Rain, 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 rain.
45. Jimmy comes home out of the rain, soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking again. He is everything he wants, he is fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate. With a 45 caliber aimed at his brain. 45 a fitting number cause his age is the same. Here's the words of his father, it's such a damn shame. Then he presses on the trigger of a money game.
That's interesting that the chamber sounded empty then, rather than... He could have ended it with an actual gunshot sound, couldn't he? So what's the symbolism of that, I wonder? But that's, yeah, hang on, it's just really... This is just great, isn't it?
We're parasites inside
really
a petri dish with cannibal minds. Mold will grow upon the surface and consumes till it dies. And our fate could be the same without this story to the wise. "45. Jimmy comes home."
So this is making me think, when he's putting the gun to his head and stuff, it's making me think of suicide. And I know Ren has a close friend. It was just one or maybe two, Joe. And was there a second one? I would hope not. But it's just reminded me of some things I've heard, I've heard people say about suicide, which I think may be useful. That I don't even know how true these things are, but they're interesting to think about. That when people commit suicide, it's because they can't deal with that, that pain or that anguish or terror or trauma or whatever it is, but it doesn't end, it just gets dispersed, to your loved ones, and I guess they have to carry it. And that's not, I don't mean to be judgmental on anyone who does take their life, it's brutal stuff, isn't it? And now I'm thinking of this character, Jimmy, potentially taking his own life. But as is everything that he has done at the expense of creating connection and having loved ones and I guess any friends or family, So, by the sounds of it, it was an empty chamber, but who's going to care, Maybe the pain does end in that instance. I don't know. It's kind of got parallels, hasn't it, It's kind of got parallels to A Christmas Carol, and Ebenezer Scrooge. And he ends up metaphorically, I suppose, in a similar, bitter and twisted and angry at the world, and lacking compassion. So, I think that's what I would like to see, maybe. Part 4. The chamber was empty. Is there hope? Is there a chance for Jimmy? Is there redemption? Is there resurrection?
Out of the rain, soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking again. He is everything he wants, he is fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate. With a 45
Be careful what you wish for, isn't it? He has everything he wants, fortune and fame. Be careful what you wish for.
caliber aimed at his brain.
There's a great track by Noel Gallagher. Lyrically, it's brilliant. It's called Be Careful What You Wish For. Listen to that, man. The lyrics in that are kind of in the vein of some of this song, really, I suppose. Maybe not subject-wise, but yeah, well, you check it out, man.
45 a fitting number cause his age is the same. Here's the words of his father. It's such a damn shame. Then he presses on the trigger of a money game.
Yeah, and I love how it's just that it comes back round to that line and that melody, man. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Really, really enjoyed that. It was really cool, wasn't it? Thanks for being here to the end if you are, and joining me on this journey, man. Take care of yourself and be kind and all that sort of stuff. See you later.